Dr. Faggot! Dr. Faggot!
I should go.
That's a good idea, Dr. Faggot.
You know, 2009 was a weird time for comedy. The age of Will Ferrell, Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller was slowly starting to fade, and Judd Apatow was the new big dog in town, with his heartfelt movies like Knocked Up and Superbad, which were just ruling comedy in the late 2000s. But something even Apatow didn't see coming was the movie The Hangover, a reasonably low budget R-rated comedy directed by Todd Phillips that no one expected to explode, but it did. It had no major comedy stars at the time, no Will Ferrell, no Jim Carrey, and no Adam Sandler, just a script about four friends who wake up in Las Vegas after a wild night they can't remember. But the impact that these four had, and their fantastic on-screen chemistry, skyrocketed The Hangover into one of the most successful comedy franchises of all time. It completely reshaped Hollywood comedy movies for the decade to come. Bachelor Party-esque movies became popular again, something that hadn't really been seen in Hollywood since the American Pie era. So let's look back at what made it so great, not just to remember the chaos and the fun, but to understand why The Hangover worked, how it caught lightning in a bottle, and what it meant for the comedy genre overall. Todd Phillips wasn't new to comedy. He made Road Trip in 2000 and Old School in 2003, both classic comedies and great examples of what comedy movies were like in the early millennial era. Both movies centered around irresponsible adult men acting like teenage kids, but The Hangover was something else entirely. If Road Trip and Old School were Todd Phillips' Madonna Lita, The Hangover was his Mona Lisa. It wasn't about partying hard, it was about the consequences of partying hard. Instead of just showing us the wild night, it made the audience piece it together like a mystery. Telling a raunchy comedy as if it were a detective story was just pure genius. It instantly gave structure to the chaos. The audience didn't just laugh at the jokes, they wanted to solve what happened. The whole time you're literally wondering, like, where the hell was Doug? What could have happened that resulted in one of their friends disappearing? It's like you're the fifth member of the Wolf Pack, trying to help find your lost friend. When the cast was announced, it looked pretty random. There was no A-listers and no proven comedians, but that's what made it perfect. Bradley Cooper, as Phil, brought his vintage style of charisma and confidence, but under the surface, he wasn't just the typical stud character that he usually plays. He's reckless and borderline toxic, but weirdly likable. Ed Helms, best known from the hit show The Office, plays Stu with his signature neurotic, by-the-book energy, the kind of guy who desperately wants to be responsible, but is always one tequila shot away from disaster. And then there's Zach Galifianakis, who plays the crowd favourite Alan, a total wildcard, childlike, unpredictable, and unsettling at best. His weirdness isn't punchline based, it's behavioural. He feels like someone you actually might meet at a casino buffet at like 2 AM, and that's what makes him fascinating. Together, these three create one of comedy's greatest accidental teams, each balancing the other, the cool one, the anxious one, and the unhinged one. Doug is the straight man, but ironically, he's the missing piece of the puzzle, the guy whose absence drives the whole movie. Mike Tyson also makes a cameo in the movie, but he was so high off cocaine at the time, he doesn't even remember being in the film. Those are his own words, by the way. Las Vegas isn't just a setting here either, it's a whole character in itself. Todd Phillips shoots Las Vegas not as a glamorous paradise, but as this surreal adult playground, full of bad decisions. The city's bright lights and gold interiors look intoxicating at night, but painfully harsh the morning after. That's why the movie feels like you're experiencing a hangover. Everything is bright and fun at the time, but bleak and dry the next morning. The cinematography shifts from smooth and vibrant at night to harsh, overexposed and dizzying by the day. It's not subtle, but that's the whole point. You can feel the nausea through the editing. Every camera movement in the morning after scene feels like your head is pounding too. The Hangover is loaded with set pieces and short gags, but what makes them work is the escalation. Each scene builds on the last one with a new absurd reveal. The baby in the closet, the tiger in the bathroom, the missing tooth, the stolen cop car, all are random pieces of the puzzle that instantly engages the audience, like how the hell did the tiger make his way into the suite? And why the hell is he just chilling in the bathroom? None of these jokes would land if the pacing wasn't perfect. Phillips directs the film almost like a thriller, withholding information, dropping clues, and letting the audience discover the absurdity at the same time as the characters. Every time the guys think they're close to solving the mystery and finally finding Doug, the film throws a new curveball. It's chaos with structure, the rarest kind of comedy rhythm. Let's talk a bit more about the structure of the story. Most comedies of the 2000s were pretty episodic, a string of gags loosely tied together. The Hangover was tight, almost procedural. Every clue from the hospital bracelet to the wedding ring drives the plot forward. It's like Sherlock Holmes meets Superbad. And what's brilliant is how Phillips and writers John Lucas and Scott Moore plant each setup with subtle callbacks. Alan's roofies mistake initiated this whole mess to begin with. The wedding chapel scene explains the missing tooth. Chow's satchel explains the tiger, and the rooftop brings everything in full circle. By the time Doug is finally found, spoilers, it feels earned. Absurd? Yes, but narratively complete. When this movie hit way back in 2009, it took over pop culture instantly. You just had to be there to experience it. It became one of the most quotable movies of all time, and the term Wolfpack officially became a thing. Zach Galifianakis became a superstar as Alan, the cuddly beardo weirdo that he is. It was the ultimate bachelor party movie. Every friend group suddenly had a Stu and an Alan. And for better or worse, Hollywood noticed. It spawned a flood of imitators: Hot Tub Time Machine, Project X, 21 and Over, and of course, 2 sequels itself. Even though the story didn't require a sequel, the film was just too popular and made too much money for Hollywood to ignore. It was the first time in a long time that critics and audiences agreed on a funny movie. But none of the sequels or imitators matched the perfect alchemy of the first film. Why? Because The Hangover didn't rely solely on shock humour. It had tension, mystery, great chemistry, and even a weird emotional sincerity beneath all the chaos. Amid all the madness, there's a surprisingly human story here. Stu, the repressed dentist, finally breaks free from his toxic relationship. Phil learns that his cool guy persona can't cover how unhappy he is. And Alan, as weird as he is, genuinely finds friendship for the first time. By the end, their bond feels real. Not just bros getting drunk and having fun, but men reconnecting with the part of themselves that they lost to adulthood. Deep down, we all want to be wild and carefree like we were when we were young, but adulthood prevents us from doing so. And this film is like saying, hey, YOLO. It's subtle, but it's why the audience enjoyed it so much. Now, we can't end this video without mentioning Leslie Chow, played by Ken Jeong. This role made him a comedic sensation overnight, an energy bomb of chaos who shifts the tone from grounding absurdity to full-blown surrealism. His performance is so wild and outlandish that it shouldn't even fit, but yet it does, perfectly. The whole cast, actually, together, is the spice that turned a forgettable funny movie into a legendary one. The Hangover made over $460 million worldwide on a $35 million budget, making it the highest grossing R-rated comedy ever at the time. It proved that audiences wanted R-rated comedies back, smartly written, unapologetically rude and narratively sharp, with a strong male leading roles. It launched Bradley Cooper into movie stardom, turned Ed Helms into a leading man for comedy films, and made Zach Galifianakis a pop culture icon overnight. I personally really enjoyed the sequels too, and we'll be discussing them in future videos. And that end credits photo sequence, just pure genius. It delivers all the wild debauchery the movie didn't have time to show, which really cements just how wild the night was for the audience. It's raw, shocking, and hilarious. It's also unironically the perfect metaphor. We only ever remember the highlights of a wild night, the rest is best left forgotten. In hindsight, The Hangover wasn't just a comedy, it was a cultural reset button. It proved that mystery and structure could elevate raunchy humour. It turned unknown actors into stars. It made Vegas look both seductive and equally horrifying. Most importantly, it captures something universal, that terrifying, hilarious feeling of waking up but not knowing what the hell you did last night, just full of regret. It's been copied, parodied, and memed endlessly, but The Hangover still stands as one of the funniest, smartest, and most rewatchable comedies of the 21st century. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright.